Hey there, YouTube. We're going to jump right. Yeah, welcome back to YouTube, by the way. I'm unbanned. Can't listen right now. It's okay, Chem Goblin. Thank you for the view. You can't listen, but I'll say here, thank you for the view. Got you, buddy. We got you, buddy. We got you, buddy. All right, so let's jump into it here. Yeah, hey, well, I was, I say hello, I do my intro, and then I immediately break off into a non sequitur because of the chat, and you're like, what the hell? I just turned on a YouTube video, and he's like babbling. What the fuck is going on? Hi, this is the UK segment. Welcome back, by the way, to my 114. I lost a subscriber. 114 subscribers. So hello to my 114 subscribers. I am back. I was banned, but I am back. So thank you so much. We're going to get into this funny clip here. I just thought this was hilarious, and I just wanted to show it from the Fast Show. If you don't know what the Fast Show is, look it up. Hilarious UK comedy, funny shit. Okay, absolutely funny shit. Yeah, I got a strike, right? I got a strike that expires in September, right? So I got some plans for the YouTube. I can't say these things in public about what I'm going to be doing with the YouTube and other things. So stay tuned, okay? Stay tuned. This is hilarious. I just had to show this to you. World War II bomb disposal joke from the 80s. This is UK 80s British television.
Right. This is the detonator. Yes, I've seen this type before. Got to be very careful. One slip, and it's curtains.
Take that, sir.
Thank you, Corporal. All right. We'll start with the blue.
Isn't it the green, sir?
No. That's a different model. This one's a little simpler than that. There we go.
It says here, sir, to ignore the red wire, sir.
Right, thank you. Now I think it's one or other of these pretty green ones. This one, I think.
Looks like we may be here for the duration, sir.
Yes.
Sod this. Anyone fancy a pint?
Yes, go on.
I'll have a go. Love it. Perfectly timed. Great setup. Boom, you're done, right? Love it. Love it. Love a sketch like that. Nice and tight. Nice and tight, right? Love it. Love it. Check out the Fast Show, folks. UK comedy. UK comedy is really amazing. It's special and amazing, and it better not ever go away, right? It better not ever go out of style. So on to more ridiculous comedy. We have everyone's favorite British version of Trump, Boris Johnson. Yay! Good old Boris. So he's finally receiving some, mild punishment for the incredible amount of lies and, I mean, just all the shit he's put this country through, the people in his orbit, his party. I mean, imagine how, like, you think his party is happy? You know, the people that are in his orbit are happy about having to pretend that they weren't at a party. Right? Oh, it wasn't a party. It was like a political thing. It was a get together. And, you know, meanwhile, there's like pictures, and apparently there was vomit in the hallways. I mean, there's just beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was a party, and we all have to pretend like it wasn't, and yada, yada, yada. It's just, you know, so it's like, will this guy ever receive any kind of punishment, any kind of comeuppance? Right? Anything. And yes, the answer is yes, at least a little bit. At least justice exists a little bit in the UK. So let's get a catch up here with your buddy Boris, and then we'll also get a little color commentary from James O'Brien and this guy who does not hold back. I don't know his name, Rory Stewart. I've never seen this guy before. I'm sure if you're following UK politics, you probably do, but this guy doesn't hold back. It's absolutely hilarious. So stick around, folks. This is funny stuff.
He's back.
Hi folks, Boris Johnson here. I am thrilled to be asked to contribute a column to the Daily Mail.
A new column, a new shadow hanging over.
Oh, he's got a fucking column in the Daily Mail. No. If I walked up to any of the owners of the Daily Mail and they dared let me ask a question to them, the one question I would ask is, are you biased? You know what I mean? Just lie to me. Go ahead and tell me you're a independent, like, no, we cover both sides and, we don't favor the right. Oh, man. Isn't it great? We're all being gaslit. It's actually rather advanced. The gaslighting has to get smarter and smarter and smarter and bigger and like more expensive, and eventually there's going to be a tipping point where you just can't shove these fucking lies down our throat, right? You can't just tell us to not trust our lying eyes, and they're going to have to fall back on violence. See, that's why I exist, right? We got to keep it real. And the fact is that these oafs, these clownish oafs, are going to get a lot of motherfuckers killed. Okay? So that's why we got to take this shit seriously. But of course, we should also laugh at these goddamn clowns. I mean, look at this son of a bitch. Are you kidding me? All right.
Rishi Sunak.
I may even have to cover politics, but I'll obviously try to do that as little as possible, unless I absolutely have to.
Is this motherfucker for real? You think we want to tune in to get your goddamn personality, to get your opinion on what? On what? Pop news? Ex-Prime Minister, man who destroyed the country by implementing Brexit. I'm not going to talk about politics. As little as possible. What? I mean, think about it. Think about how advanced, how many layers of like meta irony, and denial and just all these different things, right? It's a whole package, man. It's a whole package. We are being pissed on, right? And told it's rain. The old Judge Judy got fucking quote, man. Too bad she's an asshole too, man. Look up Judge Judy. Look, folks, don't look up your heroes. Just live in ignorance, okay? Take a lot of fucking drugs, live in ignorance, okay? Completely blow your mind out, all right? I'm actually jealous of these people. There's people walking around who don't think about Boris Johnson, who don't think about politics. What kind of heaven is this? Okay? It's called massive drug addiction, all right? It's this is why people are escaping into nihilism and despair. Look how, okay, rant over. Thank you, Panda Man, for the follow. I didn't know you didn't follow.
A new column, a new shadow hanging over Rishi Sunak.
I may even have to cover politics, but I'll obviously try to do that as little as possible, unless I absolutely have to.
Madness.
This isn't just a new gig, though, but another new rule broken by Boris Johnson. The committee that vets ex-ministers' appointments says Mr. Johnson only informed them of his new job half an hour before the news emerged, which they called a, quote, clear breach of the ministerial code, saying they've written to him for an explanation.
There was no party.
There was, though, and he knew it, said the Privileges Committee yesterday.
No
Their
party,
punishment
no party.
far greater than the body examining his new job. On Monday, MPs will vote on whether to accept the Privileges Committee 90-day suspension. Johnson loyalists say they've overstepped the mark.
Did Rishi
I've
vote
made my
remain?
mind up by reading this report.
That'd be funny.
And I don't think any fair-minded person who read this could believe it was an appropriate punishment for a former Prime Minister.
There was genuine anger yesterday among backers of Boris Johnson about the punishment the Privilege Committee had dished out.
Man,
but
they're
today, it's Boris
shameless.
Johnson himself who's taken this.
Same thing with the Trump thing. They've realized that, look, if we just never accept fault, if we never accept that we're wrong, if we never apologize, and we just keep plowing forward, there will be these gaggle of fools that who can be tricked into thinking, or who want to be tricked into thinking that that they're up against the deep state, or the shadow government, or against these liberal elites, and everyone's lying to you, the liberal media and all the media, right? There's only certain outlets that are telling the truth, and of course it's the most extreme right-wing ones. They've discovered this formula to kind of break through democracies that haven't that are not prepared for this level of shamelessness, right? There's not enough rules. There's not enough checks and balances, and there's not enough independent enforcement, right? We hear them saying, oh, Boris needs special treatment because he used to be prime minister. And, same thing with the Trump guys, right? Oh, I can't believe you treat your president like this, right? There needs to be enforcement in place that it is triggered regardless of the whims of the politician. And of course, we'll never see that implemented by politicians until we get some honest ones in there, until we get some actual lefty progressives in there, not these neoliberal cowards, these corporate neoliberal cowards.
Out of it, telling loyalists, look, don't worry about backing him in a vote on this on Monday. So the temperatures come down. But for the Conservative Party on the whole, they are still left with 2 by-elections next month, another by-election in Mid-Bedfordshire whenever Nadine Dorries calls it, and here in Uxbridge is the one Labour think they have a real chance of. It's the smallest majority with the biggest beast, and the circus of the last week they feel may have made a win here all the more likely.
In Uxbridge, there is still the odd Boris backer, but also anger.
Welcome back, Rob.
Boris Johnson, witch hunt?
No, 100%. Wow. I don't know, he's brought it on himself, hasn't he?
Do you think that the Privileges Committee...
What did she say? What did she say? It's like, absolutely not.
I don't know, he's brought it on himself, hasn't he?
He's put it on himself.
Do you think that the Privileges Committee has been a bit harsh? 90-day suspension is a bit long.
No.
Did you vote for Boris
Exactly.
in the past?
Yes.
And now would you vote for...
I keep interrupting these guys. Hey, welcome back, Hollow Husk.
No.
Did you vote for Boris in the past?
Yes.
And now would you vote for Conservatives now?
No, I need to send them a message.
I've actually emailed him about a few sort of situations that I've had within the borough, but I haven't had a response. So whether to say he was a good MP, I don't know. But in terms of...
You know what? I respect, I don't know if she believes that or not, but I respect her for bringing it up and saying, I never got a reply, right? These people are not monoliths. These people are not untouchable celebrities that are beyond approach. These people are supposed to be representative, and if they can't even bother to even send you a goddamn robo form mail, it does say a lot.
At the moment, it's, what is fair? We don't even know really.
And you don't think he's been treated fairly at the moment?
No, I don't.
Last night, Conservatives in...
What? Man, people put me through a loop. How is this possible to have this many contradictions in your head at once?
And now would you vote for Conservatives now?
No, I need to send them a message.
I've actually emailed him about a few sort of situations that I've had within the borough. But I haven't.
So wait, does she actually think? I thought she was being like smart and ironic. Does she actually think like Boris, wants to hear from her and wants to hear her opinion? Is that what? For real?
Had a response. So whether to say he was a good MP, I don't know. But in terms of
whether to say he was a good MP, I don't know, because you didn't get a reply on your email. Wow, what bizarre logic.
At the moment, it's, what is fair? We don't even know, really.
What is fair? 90 days? That's nothing. That's fucking nothing. Students get suspended from school for longer, for less.
And you don't think he's been treated fairly at the moment?
No, I don't.
Wow. Lefties, we have a long way to go, man. I mean, I don't know if I should put that burden on the left, though. Is there convincing a person who has, you know what I mean? Oh, this poor woman, she's gosh, she's so wrong. She's so wrong. Gosh, that's so troubling.
Like Conservatives in Uxbridge and South Ruislip issued a press release announcing their new candidate, long-serving local councillor Steve Tuckwell, adding he will be available for interviews from today at midday. Come midday, though, and Mr. Tuckwell was now unavailable. His team said, despite their email, he was too busy talking to residents about the expansion of London's ultra-low emission zone. Labour said
he was too busy talking to residents to talk to residents.
They're taking nothing for granted.
Clearly, Boris Johnson does have some fans, but equally there are people who are really frustrated and really motivated.
Whoa, garbage fuel hoodie. Hollow Husk over here getting himself some exclusive, absolutely exclusive garbage fuel merch. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know there's only 3 human beings on the planet who now own that hoodie, and you are one of them? One of the first 3 human beings to own the exclusive garbage fuel hoodie, bought at the merch store. #1 merch store on Twitch. The one I bought previously doesn't fit anymore. Yeah, they kind of suck. I gotta say, they're really rigid and they kind of suck. The clothing that you get from the Stream Elements, it's not very good. But anyway, thank you so much, Hollow Husk, for buying my garbage. Yeah, they're really kind of bad at this, aren't they? The merch, it's really terrible. But thank you so much for purchasing it regardless. It's very pretty garbage. Enjoy it, you know, turn it into, you know, cut it up into rags you could use around the home, you know, or, you know, throw it directly on top of the landfill right where it belongs. Thank you so much, Hollow Husk, for purchasing that garbage fuel hoodie. Okay, back to the news. Let's start this interview over here. My goodness. So exciting. Selling merch, folks. I'm like a real streamer. Look at me.
Labour say they're taking nothing for granted.
Clearly, Boris Johnson does have some fans, but equally there are
Makes
people who are really
great raps.
frustrated with him, really motivated to
Come on, you've
vote
got to
him
be
out.
over the moon not to be facing Boris Johnson.
I mean, from my perspective, it generally wasn't ever about the person I was facing. It was about the era that I grew up in.
But that's for you, but what about the voters around here? Name recognition's a big deal.
Yeah.
Neoliberals need to stop with this nonsense, okay? They're like one step away from like Jared Leto on his island, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm above it all, messianic, and then you look into their actions and it's like corporate. I'm just loving it. That was some original artwork by an old chatter who doesn't come through anymore, unfortunately. Her name was Butch Bay. I bought some artwork from her, and it's exclusive artwork. If you are an artist that would like to contribute to the merch store and, you know, would like to offer me some art that I could purchase, please let me know.
I mean, true to some extent. I think for a lot of people, they're probably just glad to see the back of the whole charade.
The Liberal Democrat candidate used to work for the Conservative Party in Brussels. For him, he says this will be a Partygate by-election.
I was working as a civil servant at the time, but, you know, I was really enraged by Partygate. I lost my father in the very week that Johnson partied to COVID, and
So what, you quit your job as a civil servant?
Lowest prices on
Exactly.
Twitch.
Boris Johnson's
Best merch store on Twitch, I'm telling you.
Boris Johnson was fined for this birthday party in 2020. Monday will be his birthday again, and the present Parliament is...
Why are we blurring these people out? I guess only because the investigation. I don't know. Why are these people innocent? This was during COVID. No one should have been. No masks and shit. Throwing your goddamn germs everywhere. People couldn't see their goddamn dying family. Had to wear a hazmat suit just to say goodbye. The fucking Queen has to sit alone.
is likely to give him was one worth resigning over.
And this is the current list of candidates running for the seat of Uxbridge and South Ruislip. The full list of nominations will be published after the dedeadline closes on the 23rd of June.
That's a very British name, Danny Beals. I like that. His politics probably suck, right? How it goes. All right, so moving on to the next thing here. Just a little, I just wanted to show this because it was like a Boris Johnson roast, and it's just great. It's just great because the man really is terrible. And the sycophants, look, man, there's only so much, you know, I'm not actually paying attention, but I get to have my opinion anyway. I can take. You know what I mean? I am so sick and tired of these motherfuckers with like the loudest ass opinions, and then you like, okay, drill it down. What's your proof on this? I don't have a proof. I don't need proof. They get all angry. They get all loud. That's, you know what I mean? There's only so much of that bullshit I can take. You know what I'm saying? All right. This delusion.
He trashes, how much he lies, how many. He doesn't care how much he trashes, how much he lies, how many institutions he craps on, as long as he, Boris, manages to continue with his weird cult. I think he's...
Yeah, no, and look, and to the people, oh, that's hyperbolic. Cult, come on, cult. No, I mean, we're seeing it with Trump. I've been noticing this. His language is churning cultish. It really is. It is churning messianic. What, you know, just I was listening to the Trump speech last night. Just droning on and on and on, man. I mean, the guy, I mean, it's just like he has like a teleprompter, and he'll just do like a 20-minute digression. You think my digressions are bad. Anyway, I don't think saying cult anymore is that hyperbolic, to be honest with you, because it is a complete removal of facts, and the language used is, you know, instead of talking about facts, instead of talking about policy or things that politicians should be talking about, it's feelings and emotions, and it really does churn into this kind of, you know, cultish behavior where it's you know, believing in Boris is an act of faith more than it's like an act of certainty. His gums freak me out. Look, man, he's about to light Boris Johnson on fire. You sit back.
Definitely proves that he's...
Panda Man, yeah, you don't need to what about. The neoliberals absolutely, you know, have their own, you know, version, I guess one would say, their own delusions, but it's not cultish as much as it is delusional. I don't know, you know, it's not there. It's not at the cult level. You know what I mean? The Barack Obama stuff was cringy, but that shit wasn't cultish. It was cringy though, like, you know, they immediately started putting, you know, paintings of him next to MLK and you know, Malcolm X, and it was like, no, that ain't right. You know, the Mr. Captain Drone Bomb, Captain Lie about single payer health care. I mean, all these other things, like, he doesn't deserve to be up there next to MLK just because of the color of his skin and the position of his office. I mean, I don't know. I think, you know, I'm not going to speak for MLK, but I think MLK's opinions on Barack Obama would have been interesting to hear. All right, so let's get this started here.
He doesn't care how much he trashes, how much he lies, how many institutions he craps on, as long as he, Boris, manages to continue with his weird cult. I think he's definitely proved that he's dangerous now.
Yes.
I think there's absolutely no doubt about that. And I think he's dangerous because he is challenging the Constitution again and again. He's challenging all the things that Parliament, the courts, everything that's supposed to protect us against politicians.
This is a point which is, I mean, you won't be surprised that, and I think absolutely crucial and possibly getting overlooked, because we can go back to the prorogation, we can go back to the Owen Paterson story, we can go back to the resignation of ethics advisors, the refusal to reappoint. There was, and because he's...
Hey, stay awake and pay attention, y'all. He's actually listing off all the various crimes that Boris Johnson is not being held accountable for. Hey, over there from Kick, look at that. We got another person from Kick, Moody Stark. Well, let's see where the opinions swing with Mr. Moody over here.
So chaotic, it's hard to say with confidence that it was concerted, but there were certainly repeated and consistent attempts to trash the institutions that essentially hold everything together.
And it's very weird because he campaigned for Brexit on saying the reason he was doing it was for parliamentary sovereignty. We were going to leave the European Union, we were going to restore British institutions, Parliament, the court. But actually what he's done is every time they've criticized him or in any way stood in his way, he's gone on to rubbish them. And it makes it feel as though the only thing that matters obviously to him is himself. I mean, and he doesn't care how much he trashes, how much he lies, how many institutions he craps on, as long as he, Boris, manages to continue with his weird cult.
Well, I might ask you about the actual cult in a moment, but before that, you've sat on select committees and you would have been following these events very closely. Most people so far surprised, perhaps initially, by how far they went in terms of the sanction or the suggested sanction.
Panda Man. So Barack Obama ran a. I can't get fucking derailed on Barack Obama. What am I doing? We got to stay focused. We're talking about Boris Johnson. Wait until the end of the clip to talk about non sequiturs.
Action, and then upon consideration and upon
good for you,
study
DCH.
of the report, probably not that surprised after all. But it is. I mean, it's a biggie, isn't it? 90 days and a withdrawal of a parliamentary pass being suggested. Have they gone a little further than perhaps you expected?
I think they've definitely gone further. I think.
Wow, 90 days is like really? Is that it? 90 days is like 3 months. Fuck you. Fuck you, dude. There are people in jail for 3 years for some absolute bullshit. Fucking Boris Johnson can wreck the whole country, get suspended, slap on the wrist. This is harsh. I mean, fuck off with these people. How does this happen with these people in our lives, right? They're managers and our bosses. They get treated with, all these kid gloves. Why? I don't get it. They never, respect is earned, in my opinion, and these people don't earn our respect.
They have been made even angrier by the.
You think he's going to be crying about somebody who would get punished for harsher for doing less? You think Boris Johnson's crying? Come on. Hi, welcome back, Lucian.
The way that he's attacked the committee and the way that he tried to resign before
people don't cry for us.
He was jumping before he was pushed, and that sort of added to their sense of fury. But it's also important to remember, as people have pointed out, that the majority of this committee are Conservative Party members.
Yes, of course.
Including, and quite a broad variety from different ages, different intakes, different parts of the Conservative Party, ranging from Brexiteers through to people who are more on the Remain side. And the fact that they're all unanimous in it just demonstrates their sense as parliamentarians of disgust at the way Boris Johnson lied to them.
Which brings us to the cult. I'm not, this morning, plenty of other people will, for good or for ill, giving much weight or attention to his his response that was probably itself a contempt of Parliament, given that it was made available to people before the report was. But when you look at former colleagues still clinging on, do you have an understanding of them that perhaps the rest that would elude the rest of us? These are people that you broke bread with, that you went through the lobby
broke bed with, huh? Ow!
That you followed whips with. You see some of these people
whipping
now
in the bed,
still clinging to the carcass of Johnson's career. Do you get it in any way?
It's very, very strange. Very strange. And some of these people, I remember back in 2019 when I was trying to run for the leadership against Boris.
Of course.
Were not as fanatical about him then. I mean, back in the day, I remember one of them who's been caught up in a lot of this, saying to me, when I said, how can you possibly support Boris? He's a terrible human being. He's going to be a terrible prime minister.
Yeah, Nigel Farage. I mean, he's kind of a confusing character. Sometimes he comes out and says something, contradictory, but pretty sure isn't Nigel Farage a Brexit backer? I don't know, but does he hate Boris? I don't know. I don't follow it that closely. I don't care about who does what. What fascinates me is the goddamn parallels. What I see, it's the same thing with Canadian politics. It's like I can see it. I can see the MAGA style politics like seep in and start to spread. It's fascinating.
He said to me,
like watching a wound infect across the body.
But he's a winner. He's going to win. And what seems to have happened is they've gone from seeing him as a kind of useful tool.
Okay.
For winning.
So he wants to go harder than Boris. He's one of those guys. Okay, yeah.
Elections.
We need to Brexit harder.
Seeing him as the kind of
that'll fix it.
Representative of everything they care about in the world.
Okay, guys.
And I guess that is that they've been dragged deeper and deeper. I think having tied themselves to him and defended him
we're here
in the
to
first
learn.
10 or 15 scandals, they almost feel they have no choice other than to continue defending him. A lot of these people, of course, been rewarded by him. I mean, you need to look at the fact that almost all the people out defending him have got knighthoods from him, or he was trying to put them in the House of Lords. So I think that's another thing to bear in mind here.
Where does that leave the party?
Leaves the party in a terrible situation. I mean, Boris Johnson, in addition to trashing Parliament, insulting the courts, is basically trying to take the Conservative Party down with him.
Do you think so?
Yeah. His fantasy is to take his revenge on Rishi Sunak, prove that he's bigger than anybody. He's almost certainly going to try to provide.
DJ
If he can't
Shay.
take over the Conservative Party again after the next election, he'll try to create some splinter
DJ
faction
Shay.
group to get himself back in. And he doesn't care how much damage he's doing. Doesn't care that he's insulting the current prime minister, undermining Conservatives' electoral chances.
Yo, greetings from South Boston. It's your boy Lenny, #1 financial contributor to the stream, and of course, #1 YouTuber. Make sure you check out his channel, Accidents Waiting to Happen, on YouTube. Props to you, boy Lenny.
Because in the end, it's all about Boris Johnson.
What would you advise Rishi Sunak to do?
I think he's got to lean into who he is. So, I mean, his reputation is for being slightly more steady, understated, professional. He's got to hope that he can let Boris embarrass himself and not get dragged too deeply into this.
And with regard to this, it's hard to imagine what he could say that wouldn't upset or even alienate parts of his own party now.
Yes, although it may be that we're exaggerating how many members of parliament this is.
Yes,
I mean,
of course.
Some of them are resigning in Boris's favour anyway, so they won't be around it very long.
Well, you say that. Some of them have already changed their mind, or at least pressed the delay button until some unspecified point.
You
in the
can do
future.
that? You can say you're resigning and then be like, nah, I take it back. Nah. Isn't that like a Curb Your Enthusiasm skit? No, that was George Costanza in Seinfeld, right? Quits at the board. He's at the boardroom table. I quit. I'm out of here. Then he just shows up the next day, just pretends like he didn't do that.
Look, and I think the other thing that's going to be tough for him is the vote, because this committee just presents a vote to Parliament.
Boris is very
Trumpian. Really split the Conservative Party between people like Jacob Rees-Mogg, who keeps saying, this is all storm in a teacup. It was just a piece of cake.
Sir Jacob, Rory, just to prove your previous point.
Absolutely. And I think he's a very interesting example of this, because he was a guy who, when I joined Parliament with him, was one of the most pompous defenders of the idea of Parliament, kind of big professional backbencher, read all the detailed parliamentary procedures, loved all that stuff. And he's now saying, I think in his latest tweet, Parliament's taking itself too seriously.
Gosh, the irony. The irony.
Yeah. Taking it's like he's doing, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's ridiculous. Look, I know you guys are falling asleep. I know this is dry and a lot of people don't understand what's going on. But what we are witnessing with Boris, with Trump, with Pierre Poilievre in Canada, with Berlusconi, I guess, was kind of, he's kind of the innovator in a lot of this, right? I'm not going to say RIP to Berlusconi, man, but you know what I mean? I mean, like, it is a test of democracy, these characters, right? They are taking advantage of the weaknesses of these democratic systems, right? By being shameless and never, ever accepting or admitting fault, and using billion-dollar media apparatuses to fluff up and continue this gaslight. It is a complete separate reality. And look, if you're going to do a separate reality, that's every day. That's 24 hours. That's a constant hum. That's a constant narrative, right? That has to be pushed from multiple angles, from multiple voices, so that it sounds real, so that it feels real, and the right has that here in the United States, right? We got the Tim Pools and the Hannitys. Oh, there's some differences there. We got our Ben Shapiro's and our Kermit the Frog. What the fuck's his name? Peterson, right? The different thought leaders. Ooh, different. Oh, this is so different. It's not different. It's not different, right? It isn't different. It's the same. It's ice cream with different flavors, right? Except it ain't ice cream, right? You know what I'm saying? Sorry, Jeff. I don't mean to be crass.
Gosh, the irony.
Sorry, Jeff.
I think I'd just thank you there, because we could talk all day, but I appreciate you've got other things.
DJ Shay over here.
Oh, I'll tell you what. One final question.
Incredibly
you
plugged
are a historian
in,
as well, of course, as a politician.
100% accurate.
can you put it alongside anything else from British political history? Have you sort of we can call it a scandal. I think that's probably a matter of record. What does it sit
Panda
beside?
Man. Yeah, well, you know what? I identify as a Pegasus, and when I get out of my window and fall straight to the ground, I call that flying. Tim Pool is a right fucking winger, okay? And Panda Man, stop gaslighting for Tim Pool, okay? You're not a sucker, are you? You're not a fucking fool. You can't take one objective look at Tim Pool and not say that he doesn't support right-wing narratives, right-wing policies. Motherfucking incel over here, dude. Absolutely. Well, he doesn't call himself right-wing. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I don't call myself fat, but guess what? Right?
What is it up there with?
I think Boris Johnson, I think, is in my mind close to being the worst prime minister I can think of. I mean, going back in history, there was some terrible.
It doesn't get
ones
worse.
In the 18th century.
Lord North.
Lord North? I'm going to have to look up a YouTube video about that guy.
Is in a sense worse because all the others, even if they were pretty ineffectual, strangely in Britain, retained a very strong degree of respect for the institutions.
Or fear. If not respect, then at least fear of the institutions.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, I was just talking to John Major yesterday. He's an example of somebody who, he was a conservative. There'll be many listeners who won't like him, but
Lenny, wait till you see until I finish the studio. I'm making progress, by the way. Wait until you finish the studio and you look at this motherfucking gut, dude. From the top up, hey, he ain't so bad. From the bottom down, it's he needs some work. Oh boy, he needs some work.
He had a very, very strong sense of what was decent.
Yes.
And I think that sort of stayed with him. And I think that probably would have been true of Clement Attlee on the Labour side. So going back in the day, the only person I think that maybe measures us up, who was an incomparably better politician, more effective prime minister, but had some of the same...
Panda Man, you're either willfully ignorant or naive, right? Or maybe a little bit of both. I don't know what. But look, I'm going to tell you respectfully, you're wrong. I'm not going to try to insult you here. You're straight up, you're fucking wrong on Tim Pool. And stop the madness, okay? And by the way, we're talking about the UK. Mr. Derailer. I swear to God, you change your name to the Derailer, bro. You're like a supervillain. Every conversation will be moved. Watch out for my minions, Confuser and Gaslighter.
Shakiness and shadiness to him was Lloyd George, who was clearly pretty corrupt, pretty peculiar back in the 1920s. But apart from that, I'm struggling to find anyone quite as immoral as Boris Johnson.
Shameless.
That position.
Rory Stewart, many thanks
Shameless.
indeed.
All right, so there you go, folks. I tried desperately to get through some UK news. Sorry. Wake up. Everybody wake up. All right, we're gonna get on to our USA news. We want to be talking about Trump. Wake up. Thank you, YouTube. Have yourself a good one, YouTube.